on CityCast Nashville, it's time for our Friday News Roundup. I'm joined by our producer, Daniel Sumstine, and executive producer, Whitney Pastorek, to break down this week's biggest headlines. From a surprise visit by California Governor Gavin Newsom at a Nashville brewery, to new candidacy announcements for District 7, and a shakeup in Mayor O'Connell's office, we've got a lot to cover. It's Friday, July 11th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Y'all, real quick, before we get into today's news, we have something very special planned for you next week. Starting on Monday, we are officially launching CityCast Nashville Neighbors.
Ooh, would you be mine? Could you be mine?
Won't you be
my neighbor?
That's right. We are kicking off our brand new membership program so we can all become neighbors. It has been our number one goal since we launched to help you feel a sense of belonging here in Nashville.
Yeah, y'all are going to have to tune in next week to hear about all the benefits that come with joining. But for now, it goes without saying that we really take pride in our jobs. We love bringing you valuable conversations and stories from locals who love Nashville as much as we do and are fighting to make it a great place to live for everyone. It's a really cool thing that we get to do here. We've been doing for it's over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of y'all out there who have reached out wanting more ways to connect. And I mean, here it is, CityCast Nashville Neighbors. We're going to have some super fun events.
Daniel, don't spill the beans. Come on, we got to leave them wanting more.
All right. I at least got to say, if you already value this show and what we're building here in Nashville, you can join right now to be a founding member of CityCast Nashville Neighbors.
It's true. You can join right now, knowing nothing about it. But just because you adore us, go to membership.citycast.fm to read more and join. That's membership.citycast.fm. And we are going to be saying that phrase a lot for the next week. But we're really excited about this, y'all.
We really are, honestly. I hope you at home can always tell how much we love our jobs, love what we do here at CityCast Nashville, and we want to give you more ways to connect. And by supporting us this way, we'll be able to do exactly that. So again, one more time, that's membership.citycast.fm. Check it out today. Now on to the news. Wednesday night, East Nashville Beer Works got a super secret surprise visit from none other than California Governor Gavin Newsom. I was not privy to this information, but Whitney received the bat signal. What happened? How did you first hear that he was going to be at the East Nashvists monthly meeting?
Well, I heard about it the same way I hear about everything. Marie, my phone went ding. And it was someone informing me that Gavin Newsom, governor of California, was showing up for a secret surprise visit to the East Nashville meeting. But the secret definitely got out. I texted Marie and I was like, you got to get your butt over there. So Marie, what was it like? Was it just like a feeding frenzy?
It was crazy. Yeah. So Whitney texted me and it's right around the corner from me. So I quickly did take a shower to be presentable. He seemed to be very generous with his time. He was talking to everyone, taking photos. I immediately noticed Justin Canoe from Tennessee Holler was there with cameraman. So I was like, oh, something's going to go down tonight. So
yeah, if Justin Canoe's standing in the parking lot, something's up.
But yeah, once the East Nashville meeting commenced, founder Melissa Sauter introduced him and the crowd went crazy. He spoke for maybe like 5 to 10 minutes about activism. And I did post about it on Instagram at CityCast Nashville. I did ask in my caption, if you could ask Governor Newsom one question, what would you ask? And I do recommend people going over to our social media and just seeing what people are saying.
Yeah, a lot of people have very strong opinions about Governor Newsom. And it is pretty clear to me, at least, that this man is running for president.
Absolutely.
You know, someone mentioned also on Instagram that they just saw him in South Carolina on Thursday morning. So I think we were just a stop on his barn burning tour of the South. Daniel, I know your feelings about political officials in general. What would you have asked him if you were there?
I want to preface this by saying I think Gavin Newsom looks like he was like made in a politician lab. So first,
I completely completely concur.
First, I would ask him like how much snake oil he needs before he malfunctions.
Daniel.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm personally someone who feels like neither party truly represents working people anymore. And our political system increasingly serves corporate donors and wealthy interests rather than its own citizens. So if I could ask him one question, it would be straight up like, what specific actions have you taken or do you plan to take to reduce the outsized influence of money in politics and try to restore like genuine representation?
Well, I wish you'd shown up, Daniel. No, I'm just kidding. I have no comment further on this, what with my general cynicism. Marie, was Mayor O'Connell there?
No, he was not. I actually thought maybe he would be, but he was across town at the WeGo Market.
Oh, the farmer's market that they
market.
put outside the downtown bus station. That's very cool.
That
I
is
love
really
that.
cool. I was happy to see that he was there. You know, speaking of Mayor O'Connell, big news out of his office this week. He has a new chief of staff, Nashville lawyer Masami Tyson. Whitney, who is this person?
I do not know. She's not a name that's going to be familiar to the vast majority of people in the city. And I'm going to be honest, I'd never heard of her before. So according to the Nashville Business Journal, Ms. Tyson is a former senior counsel at Franklin-based Nissan Americas, who then spent almost 4 years as the state's top official recruiting business investments from foreign companies for the Tennessee State Department of Economic Development. And then I found this part of her bio interesting. For part of 2023, Tyson served on the Republican-created version of the Airport Authority Board. Y'all remember when the state took over all kinds of things in our city, including trying to slash our council size? Well, part of that was them trying to take over the Airport Authority Board. And she was one of Cameron Sexton's nominees to that Republican-created board. Judges have since obviously ruled that the law that led to the takeover of the airport was unconstitutional, because it was. But I think that's a very interesting little piece of her timeline. The article also mentioned that she was just named to the current class of Leadership Nashville, which, for those not familiar, this is sort of like a day camp program for like executives and fancy people to go and network and learn more about community issues in town. So I think that's great that she's enrolled in that to learn a little bit more about our community. And then obviously Marjorie Pomeroy Wallace, who ran Mayor O'Connell's campaign and has served as his chief of staff up to this point, has moved into a newly created position as chief strategy officer. So it's a big shift inside that administration. And, you know, my sources are telling me that staffers in the mayor's office and beyond are feeling good about the switch to Ms. Tyson. We shall see. And we're obviously going to be reaching out and asking her to come on the show and tell us about herself.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is it normal to change chief of staff in the middle of your term?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I actually think that there were a lot of people expecting that Freddie would have done this last year after his first year in office. But yes, this is not a strange thing. It doesn't mean that there's anything terrible afoot. It just means it's time for some new leadership amongst his staff and some of the other people who work within the metro government.
Copy that.
Marie, what else is happening in electoral politics here in Tennessee?
Whitney, it gets juicy. Congressman Mark Green used the 4th of July to resign publicly.
How patriotic.
So patriotic. Posted a 5-minute video on social media touting that he worked hard to pass Trump's budget bill, but now it is time for him to head into the private sector to start his own company. Can you hear the Yeah. Anyway, we know very little about this, but in his social media post, I did find this interesting. He did say, while I cannot give the details, doing something specifically designed to help America compete against the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh, so secret.
I am so thankful to former Republican Congressman Mark Green for his service, and that he is now bravely striding into the private sector to make money doing something secret.
Yes, exactly.
Such a cryptic Instagram post. It's like when like local artists tease their new single. Like soon. It's coming
Stay
soon.
tuned for August 1st, baby. So what does this mean for Nashvillians? Well, only 6 months into his term, that's right. Green's district is, District 7. has now zero representation, which is honestly very, very sad for his constituents.
It really is. And I think we all get very cynical around here about, these Republican congressmen who don't even live here and don't do anything for us. Well, they're supposed to do things for you. If you have a good congressional representative, they should be available to help you if your Social Security gets screwed up, if your veterans benefits get screwed up. I actually just this week reached out to Congressman John Rose's office because I got charged for a mammogram. You're not supposed to get charged for mammograms anymore. That's supposed to be covered for free under the Affordable Care Act. And I reached out, and you know what? I got to say kudos to the staffers in Congressman Rose's office. A woman immediately emailed me back and had me fill out a release of privacy form so that they can go investigate this for me. That's what your congressperson's supposed to do.
I would have thought I would have focused on my health insurance to tackle that, but to email our representative. That's amazing.
That is what elected officials do. The other thing they do is if we happen to have a natural disaster, I don't know, a massive flood, and we're going to talk about that later, it's the congressperson's job to go up to the Hill and ask for money and resources and, make sure that their district is getting taken care of. And right now, if you live basically anywhere between Clarksville and Williamson County, you ain't got that.
Wow. Okay. Well, in a year that there weren't supposed to be any elections, we now have one. And it's all very confusing. When is the election going to happen then? We don't even know.
So it's yet to be scheduled. The Nashville Banner reported this week that Green's last day is actually not until officially July 20th. Thanks, buddy. But we might not have a new member of Congress until December because of all of the things that have to go into motion in order to set that election date, make sure that people who are voting absentee, service members abroad, for example, can get their mail-in ballots. And that's especially important in District 7 because it contains Fort Campbell. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, but there are people running, Marie.
That's right. People are lining up. Let me tell you. State Representatives Jody Barrett, Jay Reedy, and Lee Reeves have all thrown their hats into the ring, plus Matthew Van Epps, who resigned his role as commissioner for the Tennessee Department of General Services and announced his candidacy within a day of Green's initial announcement, as well as some lesser-known candidates.
Those are all on the Republican side, right?
Yes, that's correct. And then the first Democrat to join the race was State Rep Bo Mitchell, who was also in attendance at the East Nashville meeting the other night. So I saw him in person. And also this week, Afton Bain joined him in tossing her hat in the ring. Who else are we hearing rumblings of people who may announce their candidacy?
We've got one more Democratic state representative. So Bo Mitchell, Afton Bain, and Vincent Dixie, who represents me. And you, I think, Marie, is going to be pulling papers and jumping into the race. And then, Marie, you pointed out on Instagram that our good friend Khalil Ekalona, former host of This Is Nashville, he's teasing his new single, too.
That's right. Ready to drop. I just saw that he was just taking kind of a survey on his Instagram, like, should I run? He hasn't announced anything officially, so who knows? This is going to get exciting, though.
It is going to get exciting, and we want to hear from y'all out there in Radio Land. How would you like us to cover this race? Would it be helpful for us to try to get all of these candidates on here? Obviously, there's 15 on the Republican side, but we're happy to reach out and try to do individual interviews with these people. What would y'all most like to hear, and what's most important to you if you live in District 7? Email us at nashville@citycast.fm and let us know.
We're going to move out of politics into some more really hyper local things that are impacting everyday Nashvillians. Vanderbilt University Medical Center has eliminated its LGBTQ health program, which previously provided patients with mental health resources and gender-affirming care. This includes the Trans Buddy program, which paired transgender patients with a support volunteer who could provide emotional and procedural support during these healthcare visits. These layoffs follow VUMC's decision to cut roughly 650 positions. Most of those were in research, administrative, and support roles as a part of a $300 million budget reduction. So yeah, this is just really a sad situation for many people involved, and my heart especially aches for our LGBTQ plus community who relied on these programs and resources.
The Metro Council LGBTQ caucus has issued a formal vote of no confidence in the Vandy Medical Center leadership in the wake of these cuts, accusing the hospital of abandoning its commitments to their community. They wrote an open letter that read, in part, "You presented to the world that your hospital was a place where LGBTQ plus individuals could receive care with dignity, safety, and respect, and many of us believed you. We are not writing to request a statement or a promise," they said. "We write to make this known for your board, your donors, your staff, and every LGBTQ plus person who once believed you were different. You failed us." They end by writing, "We will not forget." Effing yikes.
Yeah.
The members of that caucus are council members Russ Bradford, Emily Benedict, Brenda Gadd, and council member at large Olivia Hill, who is, of course, the first openly trans elected official in the state of Tennessee.
Well, speaking of underfunded resources, it was just announced that 58% of third graders fell short on the English language arts section of this year's standardized state test. Now, in order to avoid being held back, third graders who didn't pass the English language portion must either pass a retake, qualify for an exemption, succeed in an appeal, or attend my old favorite thing, summer school.
Summer school, good times.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a crazy amount of pressure for a third grader, don't you guys
and
think?
if they don't do this, they can't go to fourth grade.
Yeah, like one test determines your friends group. It determines like so much of your life. That seems wild.
But let's give these kiddos some credit. MNPS did achieve record high TCAP averages in reading, math, and social studies, and the highest science scores in 7 years. So despite all the chaos, despite the funding cuts, despite their struggle to be fully funded in general, there is good work happening in our public schools, and I think they should be commended for that.
Do you think you could pass the TCAP?
That's a no.
I don't know that
That is a definite no. As a proud Tennessee public school student, I did struggle with TCAP. I remember growing up here, and luckily they didn't have this when I was taking those tests. But talking to some of my teacher friends right now, and also I actually spoke to a third grade tutor who works with only third graders to help them pass. She was telling me how the teachers, Metro school teachers, are more stressed out than ever before because they have to change their curriculum in order for just their students to pass. And then also I was talking to a third grader at a pool party recently, and she was telling me how stressed out, her mom was kind of prompting her, but yeah, she herself experienced the highest form of anxiety this past year of passing. They got her a tutor and she passed. But
yeah, what do families do, though, if they can't afford a tutor?
Absolutely.
I think it is worth saluting our teachers, our parents, and our kiddos who are doing their very best to navigate a system that should be working better for them, in my opinion. And on that note, Daniel, one last
bummer,
awful thing as we are a month out from school starting in August.
Yeah. So lastly, the parents of Jocelyn Correa Escalante, the 16-year-old who was killed in January's Antioch High School shooting, are now suing Nashville Metro, claiming that the shooter was a walking red flag. They're now suing on 2 counts for negligence and violation of the state government Tort Liability Act. The maximum damages allowed for this are up to $700,000.
We do need to talk briefly about the tragic 4th of July flooding in Texas and get to a question that we've heard from a lot of people here in Nashville. Could this happen here? Whitney, what's the latest, and do we know the answer to that?
The horrific flash flood on the Guadalupe River in the Texas Hill Country has now claimed more lives than Hurricane Harvey, with over 100 people dead and even more still missing in Kerr County, which faced the brunt of the water. We're also sending love down to our friends at CityCast Austin, where floodwaters claimed 16 lives and 12 people are missing right there in Austin. And CityCast Houston, my beloved hometown, where so many of the victims, campers and counselors at Camp Mystic, just ordinary folks trying to enjoy a 4th of July on the river. That's where people were from. They're from the neighborhood that I grew up in. So it's hitting hard and it's hitting heavy. obviously here we are surrounded by rivers and streams and creeks in Middle Tennessee. And I know that tragedies like this do get people wondering about their safety and the safety of their kids, a lot of whom are off at a summer camp right now. And while the topography of the Texas Hill Country and the topography of Nashville are different, obviously, we are here indeed very susceptible to flash flooding. It can be as big as the 2010 Nashville flood or as localized as that flash flood that went through Waverly in 2021, where residents saw this sort of similar tidal wave of water crash through their tiny town and sweep away their neighbors. So can it happen here? Yes, it has. And it will again. I hate to break it to everybody. So, what can we do? I think at this point, everybody knows that our phone alert system is deeply flawed. And all the pings and calls that everybody got during our heavy rain event earlier this year probably made a lot of people unsubscribe because they just kept calling. It was yeah, we know. And people just started to tune it out. For the time being, I think the responsibility is really just on us, just on us as individuals to be aware of what's happening around us. So download Stormwatch Plus to wake you up in severe weather. Have a NOAA weather radio in case the power is out or the internet is down. Do not drive your car into flooded roads.
Turn around.
Don't drown. I know a lot of people online were quick to blame the federal cuts to the National Weather Service for this tragedy. A lot of people were also quick to blame the way people voted, saying that they deserved this. Don't do that. Take that out of your vocabulary. But look, y'all, the truth is the forecasters got this right. And until our leaders invest in monitoring and warning systems and build the kind of community trust that's required to get the buy-in of millions of people living in a metropolitan area that we do want to hear from you, it's just on us, you, me, Marie, Daniel. We've got to know what's happening around us. And that sucks because I grew up believing that local elected officials would do everything in their power to take care of the people they represented. But as Chris Tomlinson, a columnist for the Houston Chronicle, told our friends down at CityCast Houston this week, that only happens in a functioning democracy. And ours isn't really functioning right now. So, soapbox being put back in the closet. I just want to end by saying, take care of each other because we're all we've got.
That's right.
And now, Marie, it is finally time for
good news.
There you go.
Good news. Yeah. This is neat. Okay, so Big Fluffy Dog Rescue has taken in some of the dogs displaced in those Texas floods. And they're looking for fosters right here in Nashville. You can go to their website at bigfluffydogs.com to learn more. As y'all know, I'm a foster fail. Lottie is standing, trying to chew on my shoe right now, right next to me. And now's a particularly good time to step it up in case more dogs from Texas need safe shelter spaces in our city. So let's clear out those shelters, y'all. And Daniel, what other good news do we want to shout out?
Let's talk sports. Your favorite, Marie. Sports. Nashville SC is rolling right now, y'all. They're currently
on ecstasy?
Yeah. They're just tripping balls while playing soccer. Yeah, so they're currently on a 15-game unbeaten streak, thanks to a 5-2 comeback win on Wednesday night over DC United in the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinals. Whitney, were you watching?
I was watching, I tuned in for the second half, which meant I was there just in time to see us come back from being down 2-1 to win 5-2. And honestly, Daniel, Saturday's game was even more exciting. I don't know if you caught that one.
Yeah, I watched Saturday. That was insane.
We had 10 men on the field. Johnny Perez had been sent off with a red card, which means we were playing a man down. And we end up winning on a penalty kick in the 100th minute.
I heard some of the players say it was like the loudest they've heard Geodis Park since playing there, like after that goal.
It's so cool. And it's so fun to have a winning sports team in town. Again, no offense, the Titans and the Predators. We love you, but this is awesome.
Wait, did y'all see that thing that went viral this week with the Predators around town t-shirts?
No. What?
It went viral because it was like Preds in town, Preds around our city, and they were posting with kids around the city. It was weird.
Get people who are not from here, and I'm like, it's a saber-toothed tiger, and they're like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, a friend of mine from New York said it to me, and they were like, what's this? I was like, go Predators.
No.
All right. Well, something I was super excited to see in the Nashville scene this week. They put out a Nashvillians Guide to Iceland. That's right, y'all, because we have a direct flight from Nashville to Reykjavik now. Thanks to B&H Flights, we know all about this. Cannot wait to go and check off my Iceland bucket list. Thanks to the Nashville scene listing me out. But did you know that they have
Iceland bucket list?
Oh, yeah. It's frigid. Yes. I'm so pumped. Actually, I have a Google Flights alert set, and it dropped to $400 round trip for like November, December. It's back up again,
sweet.
But it's really sweet. They have a tomato fest, which is really, they just have like a tomato farm in a fancy greenhouse, but you can get bottomless bowls of tomato soup there.
Okay, hello to the East Nashville Tomato Fest organizers. Can I please get a bottomless bowl of, I don't think tomato soup, it's hot.
Tomato soup in the middle of August.
Bottomless gazpacho. Think about it.
There's also amazing waterfalls in Iceland. And y'all know I love me some Middle Tennessee waterfalls, but this might be just a tad little different because you can soak in geothermal pools with a swim-up bar. Y'all know I love a swim-up bar.
You love a swim-up bar.
I do. So let's go to Iceland. Hey, Iceland, if you're listening and you'd like to sponsor a trip.
a podcast.
Oh, my gosh, please.
Can you imagine, though, if we could get like Iceland's tourism bureau to sponsor the show and send us all there for a week?
I mean, dream job, please.
Get on it, Whitney.
People tell me when Gavin Newsom is showing up at a brewery, they don't necessarily call me from Iceland, but I don't see why I can't.
Get on it.
Signal.
Find that yeah.
All right. Well, I think the last incredibly dumb thing I want to draw y'all's attention to this week is our friends at the Tennessean. They're currently running a poll to find Nashville's top influencer. It's down to 4. Former Olympic gymnast Shawn Johnson, Doug the Pug, Hannah Brown, who I guess was on The Bachelorette, and some war expert guy named Preston Stewart. And I have to be honest and say that none of these people or dogs influence me specifically. Who are y'all's actual top Nashville influencers?
I like Nashville Hidden Gems. Also, I've already mentioned B&A Cheap Flights. But real quick about Hannah Brown, when I was at South Hall a couple weeks ago,
when Marie was at the fancy spa in Franklin a couple of weeks ago.
Hannah Brown was there.
Oh, my God.
She was in the,
Did you see her naked?
I think I was naked and she was fully clothed. But I mean, we made eye contact and I was just, I did the thing, you do not approach. I just kind of winked at her very, but
I would not know her if she was wearing a name tag.
Oh, well,
I would still be like, nice to meet you.
And I actually produced an episode with Doug the Pug's owners on it years ago.
Daniel, do boys have influencers? And I'm not Andrew Tate. None of this or the Liver King. Like, do boys have influencers?
I think they do. I guess like musicians and athletes are males' most common influencers. But I got to be honest, like I met Doug the Pug one time and he was a sweetheart.
Aww.
So he's my top influencer.
All right. So we're rooting for Doug the Pug here.
Go to the Tennessean's website and vote for him.
Doug the Pug. And then come on the show, Doug the Pug. We'd love to chat with you.
Oh my God. That would be a very short show.
I might have it in for that, actually.
All right.
We'll talk about it in the pitch meeting.
This is on our wish list so far for the week. We need the country of Iceland. We need Doug the Pug. And we need Mayor O'Connell's new chief of staff.
Yes!
Masami Tyson to join us here on the show. We cover it all, folks.
We do. And that is why people should join us and become a neighbor, because we're bringing you all everything you want to hear from Doug the Pug to the new chief of staff.
And even some things you don't. Membership.citycast.fm. Next week is going to be a doozy, y'all, but we can't wait for y'all to hear about this cool program. All right, that's it. Let's get out of here.
All right. Happy weekend.
See ya.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson. Our executive producer is Whitney Pastorek. Our producer is Daniel Sumstine. Our Hey Nashville newsletter editor is Margaret Kingsbury. And our theme music is by Prof Jenkins. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Doodles.